The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Governor Desantis is hitting you for claiming the retirement age is, quote, way too low.
I have never once said that. But what we do know is 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that. We need to do it according to life expectancy. I never once said Hillary Clinton was an inspiration.
I often say that the reason I got into politics was because of Hillary Clinton.
I never said government should go and require anyone's name. A huge issue that I'll deal with as soon as I get there is social media. They need to verify every single person on their outlet, and I want it by name. What I have always said is boys go into a boys' bathroom, girls go into a girls' bathroom. But hold on one second. When I was governor, they wanted to bring in a bathroom bill, a transgender bathroom bill, and I strong-armed and said, we are not going to have that in South Carolina.
She said the law shouldn't get involved in that. And I just ask you, if you're somebody that's going to be the president of the United States and you can't stand up against child abuse, how are you going to be able to stand up for anything? That is the truth. We have it on video.
When a 12-year-old child in this country, assigned female at birth, says, actually, I feel more comfortable living as a boy, what should the law allow the response to be?
Well, I think the law should stay out of it, and I think parents should handle
Shucky, ducky, quack, quack. All right. Apologies to all you Nikki Haley fans, but that montage came out yesterday after the debate, and man, it was too good. It was too good. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. I am not going to talk too much about it, but for the 6 people that probably watched the last Republican debate between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, I was one of those 6. You know, it was pretty lackluster. You know, I will say, God, the entire political spectrum is a absolute mess. You know, it was funny. There was another thing that came out from the First Lady, Jill Biden, and she said, Biden's age is an asset. He's lived history. He knows history. I was like, okay, is he trying to be a history teacher, or is he trying to run again for the presidency? Man, the entire thing, it honestly is amazing to me. We don't have better choices across the board, really, across the board. But anyway, all right, concluding on the Republican debate, honestly, I didn't really have any major takeaways. I did think DeSantis did win. If you wanted to, I guess if you said, hey, you have to pick a winner, I thought he won. You know, the thing about Nikki Haley during these debates is she just loses her cool. She really does. And again, I don't blame her, because to me that is a difficult situation to be in. But I will say DeSantis, once again, similar to how I thought he was in the one-on-one against Gavin Newsom, I think that's his wheelhouse, and that's his basically comfort zone. You know, the one thing Nikki Haley did a lot in that debate was they put up a site called DeSantisLies.com, and I went to it. I looked at all the stuff. It just wasn't compelling. And then I don't know if it was DeSantis's team or somebody, some savvy content creator spliced together that clip of basically all of her lies. And so, you know what? I'll accept it all. They all lie. How about that? I'll accept that they all lie. But anyway, all right, let's move on.
Gaza, which is one of the most densely populated places in the world, is home to approximately 2.3 million Palestinians, almost half of them children. For the past 96 days, Israel has subjected Gaza to what has been described as one of the heaviest conventional bombing campaigns in the history of modern warfare. Palestinians in Gaza are being killed by Israeli weaponry and bombs from air, land, and sea.
All right, so the other big story yesterday was from The Hague in the Netherlands, and that was the opening statement from the South African attorney as they formally accused Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinians and pleaded with the United Nations top court. It's called the ICC, the International Criminal Court, in order to basically demand an immediate halt to Israeli military operations in Gaza. So that story definitely has been all over the place, especially on social media. And it's interesting. South Africa is the one bringing the case forward. And obviously, when you hear the term apartheid, I think the first thing we all think of is South Africa. Although I will say, I can't say I'm an expert on that South African apartheid that took place. Obviously, Nelson Mandela was kind of, at the head of that. So guess what? Yeah, that's on the list. That is going on the list for a deep, shallow dive. I think that'll garner the exclusive tag as well. But yeah, I want to understand that much better. I want to understand that whole apartheid situation in South Africa and try and, understand really why that was deemed as such. Because I think if we can use that as the example, and I will say, that's universally agreed upon that what took place in South Africa was an apartheid. So if we can really understand the nuts and bolts of that, I think maybe that can help, see if what's taking place in Israel can also be classified as an apartheid or maybe not against the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. So anyway, that's going to be coming up. It's a deep, shallow dive exclusive. I think that'll be good. And again, that'll be knowledgeable. And, we'll learn something about that situation that maybe we can apply to, what's taking place now or what takes place. Well, God, I hope it doesn't take place in any other country, but in case it does, I think that's a good background to have.
Israel has a genocidal intent against the Palestinians in Gaza. That is evident from the way in which Israel's military attack is being conducted, which has been described by Ms. Hassim SC. It is systematic in its character and form. The mass displacement of the population of Gaza, headed into areas where they continue to be killed, and the deliberate creation of conditions that, quote, lead to a slow death, unquote. There is also the clear pattern of conduct, the targeting of family homes and civilian infrastructure, laying waste to vast areas of Gaza, and the bombing, shelling, and sniping of men, women, and children where they stand, the destruction of the health infrastructure, and lack of access to humanitarian assistance.
All right, so that was the remaining opening statement from the second South African attorney in that situation. So anyway, we'll see. Not my concern. It's not really a concern, but when the UN voted for the ceasefire, gosh, when was it? Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think it was like 191 countries voted yes to the ceasefire. I think like 6 countries voted no. And primarily it was United States, Israel, and then like the Marshall Islands and some goofy countries that all are basically military bases of the United States. So I think they just are told what to vote. But you know what? That happened and like nothing happened. There was no ceasefire. So I don't know. I don't know this International Criminal Court, the ICC. I don't know how much power they have. I mean, let's say they say, okay, yes, this has been declared genocide. You guys need to stop. I mean, is Israel going to stop? I don't know. I don't know how much weight those guys carry, because obviously the UN ceasefire that was passed, it doesn't look like that did anything. All right, let's see what else is in the news. Okay, this UFO stuff it's starting to ramp up. Not only UFOs, but like 10-foot tall creatures. So I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, but there was a huge event in South Beach area of Miami that warranted like 600 cops. They said it was teenagers shooting fireworks. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But then rumors swirled that there were like 3 10-foot, monsters roaming around. So now the same thing has happened and is in Brazil. So there's footage that's going viral of a 10-foot tall figure walking in the foothills of a small Brazilian island. So anyway, just keep an eye out as you're going for your morning or afternoon walk and getting your steps in. Let me know if you see any 10-foot tall creatures like in your neighborhood or anything. Maybe we can break that story and report it. All right, what else? What else can we talk about? Let me see what else has been. Oh, this has been kind of big in the news for all you sports fans out there. The Jimmy Kimmel-Aaron Rodgers feud has definitely heated up a little bit. And I like Aaron Rodgers. I do. I like Aaron Rodgers. Him and Novak Djokovic. Those guys have integrity, in my opinion, because, they stand behind what they believe. But anyway, let me play this from Aaron Rodgers to get you caught up.
Whatever this is between Jimmy and I, this goes back to COVID times. He mentioned on his show jokes about my immunization, which I know you also made a little joke about it. He didn't just stop there, though. He made a lot of other comments about unvaccinated people. So, in my opinion, he ripped me about the vax, and that turns out to be an L on many occasions because the vax was not safe and effective like we were told that it was in the beginning.
So that's the backstory. And then Aaron Rodgers is a regular on the Pat McAfee show, and basically, gosh, I think it was last week. He was on, it was last week when the Epstein list came out.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
So that was what he said on the Pat McAfee show. He said a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel did not take too kindly to that, which, by the way, I totally understand. Well, here's the thing. Let me play what Jimmy Kimmel's response was.
I've never met Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not on a list. I was not on a plane or an island. I suggested that if Aaron wanted to make false and very damaging statements like that we should do it in court. When you hear a guy who won a Super Bowl say something like this, a lot of people believe it. Honestly believe I am meeting up with Tom Hanks and Oprah at Shakey's once a week to eat pizza and drink the blood of children.
All right, so here's what I found incredibly interesting about that. One is he definitely came off defensive. I mean, that made him defensive. Whereas, you would think, and again, this has nothing to do with that situation. I'm talking in general now. If you're not remotely guilty of anything, and especially if you are a quote unquote comedian, he could have created some hilarious bits out of that and just totally clowned Rodgers back and basically let it run off of him and made it into a big joke like it is, again, if again, there's, I keep saying again, if I got to be careful. I got to be careful what I say here. But like I said, again, he definitely came off a little defensive in that. And then the other part of that, which honestly, I'm surprised more people are not talking about is, man, why drag Tom Hanks and Oprah into it? Obviously, those two names get thrown around a lot with all of that stuff as well, quote unquote stuff. But I thought that was pretty, I'm actually very surprised that is not getting talked about a lot. Because if I'm Tom Hanks and Oprah, I'm like, hey, dude, what the FUCK? Why are you even mentioning my name in that? I'd almost like now create a feud between Tom Hanks and Oprah and Jimmy Kimmel, because like I said, I mean, that's a little strange that he pulled those names into it. So anyway, that definitely heated up. I will say Pat McAfee then came out, and it looks like he's under pressure. I believe he's on ESPN, from ESPN, and so he's no longer going to have Aaron Rodgers on the show. So that's a little lame, I thought, because their segments were actually very good and entertaining. Oh, this is hilarious. I was actually just wanting to make sure it was ESPN. And then all of a sudden it's like, he's back. Aaron Rodgers returns to Pat McAfee show day after host said NFL star is done with show. That's funny. Looks like Pat McAfee and their team had a change of heart. Or actually, I'll have to go research this. I wonder if they got a lot of fan mail that said, you guys suck for making that lame cancel culture decision. And so maybe they were pressured back. Interesting. All right. Well, anyway, that is a nice array of topics we talked about today. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the other stuff this week, we did a interesting, I think, informative episode on fentanyl. You can go listen to that. Episode 89, episode 88 played some of the most popular clips that I've posted on the Deep Shallow Dive social media pages, which is now over almost 5 million views. So that's kind of cool on all those clips. Episode 87, that was episode 88. Episode 87 talked about Cat Williams and him going on the Shannon Sharpe show. That was legit. And then, yeah, that was it for this week. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Get some rest. Get some R&R. Oh, I forgot to say congratulations to Michigan football for winning the national championship. Got a lot of friends that attended Michigan, so go blue on that front. And that's it, man. Call a spade and keep living, as Matthew McConaughey would say. Keep living.
The older you do get, the more rules are going to try to get you to follow. You just got to keep living, man. L.I.V.I.N.
This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.